Okay, in this video, I just wanted to share something that I discovered that allowed the RC four-wheel drive shock, which I picked up as a replacement for a Kyosho Rowdy Baja vintage 1/8 scale nitro car. Now, these shocks are extremely expensive and rare. And typically, if you were even to just go on eBay, you probably might not even find them. I think currently there was a set on there from Japan or Australia or wherever the case may be. It was somewhere overseas, and I believe in U.S. currency it was approximately $200 or so for a pair of these, and I need 4 of them for the back. This is one of the ones off the front. It came with 2 for the front, 1 each side, but this is a reasonable replacement. The quality is obviously not going to be what the original is, but you could see the length and even the diameter of the body is very, very similar. It's close enough. The red is not what I had hoped. This is a little more orange, I would say. But without looking at orange next to it, without looking at this, it's a fairly good enough match, we'll say. So what I ended up doing was buying 1 set of 4 for the back and then 1 set of 4 for the front. I'll end up with 2 extras. So that way they'll all be exact. Probably be, if I wasn't such a stickler about the looks, I would probably just left the originals on the front, put these, but really the color is too different. So I'm trying to do a nice job on it. I'll hopefully show that in another video. But you can see that the length is great. Now what I did is, this one's already done. It's got a nice pressurization on its own. Most of the air has been bled out. It's not perfect. But what I wanted to share with you is the Tamiya piston. I'm not sure what this part is called, to tell you the truth, but damper parts, right? That's what Tamiya will call it. But everybody that knows Tamiya knows these yellow shocks, and I don't think these have changed. This is all out of the Bigwig kit, the Bigwig re-release. And this one seems to work really well with it. It's a small single hole. So I'll show you what comes inside one of these stock as the oil dribbles out. These are supposedly just air pressurized shocks. People ask, oh, can you put oil in them? They say, yes, you can put oil. So obviously it does come with a small amount of oil. It's not filled by any means. These little red pieces don't come with the shock. That was separate. I'm not sure I'm going to use that for this project. Here we go. Here's where the mod takes place. This has 2 huge bypass slots where you would normally want a hole, 1 hole, 2 holes, 2 small holes, 2 big holes. But usually you wouldn't want a bypass slot like that if you were trying to get any kind of damping action going on. So what I'm going to do is take this off. Hold on 1 second. I just want to make sure I can see where this is. Okay. So I don't recommend using an old X-Acto blade to do this, but that's what's here, and that's what I'm going to use. But these E-clips can be very fiddly to take off, so bear with me a moment as I do this. Sometimes they come right off, sometimes they do not. There we go. So that's off. Now when you take this off, there's no room for the washer. There's an extra washer they give you. So we don't need that. We don't need that disc. This is what we want. We're just interested in this. Make sure that there's no extra burrs on this. That'll cause it to hang up inside there, because the tolerance of the Tamiya one, upon my experience with this thing so far, is that they are much, much better tolerance inside there. They fit that shock bore much more accurately. And then this goes back in. And that's really just about it. It's a little bit messy. Now what I like to do is just take a little bit of silicone grease. I believe they have a product called green slime that people will use on shocks that have a potential to leak a little bit. And some of the reviews on these particular shocks weren't the greatest. So I don't know if it's user error or inexperience, or people just think that they're buying $100 shocks for $25. But, you know, for my purpose, this will be on a shelfer that'll hopefully be run once or twice. It probably won't even be run enough to break in the engine. I managed to find a new old stock OS 21 to put in it. So hopefully I'll be able to share that with you in a subsequent video. At any rate, so I'm just going to put just a little bit here, a little bit on the threads, not enough to make it lock up on you in there. Put too much, it may not screw back on all the way. See, we lost one of these, two of them, but they fit nice. On the other ones that I didn't have any leaking at all. So, you know, in my book, for 25 bucks, it's really one of the few alternatives they have for these vintage shocks, replacements, substitutions, whatever you want to call it. Well, that's about it. And I'll just fill it up and try to get the air bubbles out. This part is pretty standard. Just about any shock is going to require you do this. But the action is very smooth for this price point. I'm not going to put the internal spring back in. But what I am going to try to do is put just a little bit more grease around the top. They do give you a rubber seal there. So this part may not even be necessary. But just a very little bit around there. Put this back in. I usually like to do a trial fit, close it up all the way, see if the piston can be contracted all the way, but it can't. So I just crack it a little bit until we go full travel. You'll see a little bit come out, hopefully at the top. And we'll close this back up. And then see what we got. I could still use a little bit more to come out. Hopefully you get the idea of what we're trying to do here. Trying to get out a little bit of oil without adding any more air in. And that's pretty good. We're not getting a full stroke right now. I'll mess with that later. No need for you to watch that over and over again. At any rate, so here's what we got. You can see it's pressurized pretty good on its own. I don't even believe it's leaking at all, which is nice to see. And that's it. So that's the upgrade. You want to use these Tamiya shock parts. These are from a Bigwig. A lot of them yellow shocks that Tamiya uses, I believe, are the same. I couldn't quote me on that 100%, but that's what these parts are from. And those are the discs that you would be using. And that's it. It's a huge improvement over factory. These were from RC four-wheel drive. I think RClions makes these shocks as well. I think they make them in 90 millimeter, 112 millimeter, and I think some of the colors come in 120 millimeter. I believe these are the 112 millimeter. But I'll try to put that in the description. I'll double check that and make sure that you know if this is your application and this is what you're trying to use them for. All right. I hope this helped, and take care. Have a great day.